Okay, so this is my second video in Algebra 1, and we will be covering single variable equations. You've probably seen these equations before, and essentially what it is solve for x, or solve for some variable. So yep, let's go straight into it, and I'll show you what you have to consider when you solve equations. So let's say I have this 16 minus 2x is equal to negative 3x plus 6x plus 1. And I want to solve for x. So the idea of this problem is what value of x, what number x could take on to make the left side equal to the right side. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to find the number that makes this equation true, that makes the left side equal to the right side. So the first thing that we should do here is simplify this. Of course, this just becomes 3x. And then we actually have to start moving things around. So the cool thing here is I can just do this. I can add 2x here. And then this just becomes 0. But in order for the equation to still be true, I have to add 2x on the right side as well. So this becomes 16 is equal to 5x plus 1. Now what do? Well, if I want to find x, then I can subtract 1 from both sides. So now I have 15 is equal to 5x. Now you may be asking, what does this mean? Well, I'm asking what number x times 5 is equal to 15. So if I want to find x, all I have to do is divide by 5. And then this cancels, obviously. And then 15 divided by 5 is 3. To the number that makes this equation true is 3. And we can actually check that. And when I mean check, I mean plugging back x into the original expression. So let's try that. So 16 minus 2 times 3 is equal to negative 3 times 3 plus 6 times 3 plus 1. So of course 2 times 3 is 6. So 16 minus 6 is equal to negative 9 plus 18 plus 1. So if you notice here, this just becomes 10. And then if you combine the rights, negative 9 plus 18 is equal to 9. 9 plus 1 is equal to 10. So essentially what this shows us is that x equals 3 makes this expression true. And that's what we wanted. So that's how you solve equations. I'll go over another one with you guys, and then we'll move on. Let's solve for x when this equation happens. 2 minus 16x is equal to 6 times negative 3x plus 2. So, first things first. Let's simplify. Distributes the 6 becomes negative 18x plus 12. Now, I'm going to move stuff places. So I'm going to add 18x over here. And then you'll notice this becomes 0. And this becomes 2x, right? So now, if I rewrite this equation, it should be 2 plus 2x is equal to 12. Okay, Now, I can subtract 2 from both sides to get 2x by itself. And again, now I'm asking what number times 2 equals 10. And all we have to do is divide by 2. And of course that number is 5. And because if you think about it, 5 times 2 equals 10. So let's plug 5 back into our original equation and see if we did this right. Okay. 16 times 5 is 80. Let's see. All right. Negative 15 plus 2 is equal to negative 13. So, does negative 78 equal 6 times 13? Let me use a calculator because yeah. And it does. So, this equation is true when x equals 5. Now, I'm going to introduce a new concept to you, if you are already familiar with equations. And that is the number of solutions that an equation can have, a linear equation can have. So, there are 3 possibilities for a linear equation. A linear equation can have no solutions. It can have 1 solution. Or it can have infinite solutions. So, you've already been introduced to the idea of 1 solution because we just solved for those 1 solution problems for the last 2 questions. But now, you might be asked on like the HSPT or something, or if you're in middle school, or if you're in high school, you might be asked, like, how many solutions does the following equation have? So let's do a question like that. So let's see. How many solutions does an equation have? So, distribute. Now, let's say I add 4x to both sides. This becomes 0, this becomes 0, right? And I get this. So, what does this mean? This means that for any value of x, the expression will become this. Or the expression will be equal, or okay, not necessarily the expression will be negative 20, but the expression will equal the right side of the expression. And if you get something like this, or you have a number is equal to a number, that means there are infinite solutions. Now, let's do a different case. Let's say this. Oops, sorry, this should be x. Again, if I add 17x to both sides, I get this. And this is a contradiction. 34 does not equal 64. And because we get this, whenever you get a number that does not equal another number, so you have one number here, and you have a different number on the right side of the equation, this means there is no solution to the equation. And we will explore this more when we deal with lines and the xy coordinate plane. But for now, the most important thing to know is if you get something like this, there's no solution. And if you get something like the previous problem, there are infinitely many solutions. So yeah, that's pretty much it for single variable equations. Sometimes they'll get a little bit complicated, but the main idea is to just simplify as much as you can and then get the variable by itself by doing reverse order operations. So yep, I'll see you in the next video.